And now let's talk more about the escalating conflict in the Middle East. Energy prices are up after Israel struck Iran's South Pars natural gas field. Now, the South Pars gas field is a gas reservoir that's shared with Qatar. The attack led to global criticism. Qatar called it dangerous and irresponsible. Then late last night, President Trump posted on social media. He claimed the U.S. did not know about the Israeli attack in advance. He declared, quote, no more attacks will be made by Israel on the gas field. President Trump also added that if Iran decided to attack Qatar, the U.S. would, quote, massively blow up the entirety of the South Pars. We, of course, now know that Iran retaliated and attacked one of Qatar's energy plants. Let's bring in CBS News Middle East contributor Courtney Kealy. Courtney, let's talk about the South Pars field attack first. What does this attack tell you about where the U.S. and Israel's relationship stands right now?
Well, we had the Israeli ambassador to the UN here on set earlier this morning, and he basically said it's a fantastic relationship. He was very positive, but there are some times that Israel does do something, and this time President Trump made it clear on social media that he was not happy with it. He was not happy with the gas field. He was not happy with the relationship between the U.S. and Qatar being so critical. But he does, and I always try to point this out, he went to the Gulf countries last year and really established relationships with Saudi Arabia and the UAE and Qatar. And while the U.S. and Israelis are doing these joint operations, there have been a couple of times, most notably that Saturday when we saw the huge conflagration and that chemical black rain down on Tehran after Israel hit another energy facility. So this time it's close to Qatar. It does upset the balance of Qataris potentially being okay with the U.S. and Israel continuing to launch this all-out war on Iran.
And I want to talk about this escalating conflict with Iran and its neighbors. How are those countries, like Qatar too, how are they all responding?
Well, it's interesting because publicly and privately, it's different. They're not going to publicly come out necessarily and condemn Iran, but the relationship between them is Sunni versus Shia. It's power versus power. And I don't think any of these Gulf countries are comfortable with Iran right on their doorstep, able to fire whether it's an unmanned drone attack or a missile attack. Now, these countries rely on tourism and oil. That's what their economy depends on. I did just speak with somebody in Dubai, and it's the end of Ramadan, and they're going out tonight. So sometimes we see these explosions and we think, oh my gosh, everyone's hunkered down all the time. But I would say that's not true. Tourism would be off. But what the Gulf countries did do is they got the Security Council to pass a resolution publicly. So you're not going to see, for instance, Mohammed bin Salman, who speaks to President Trump frequently, publicly come out and say anything. The question is, how much can they withstand before they say enough's enough? And at this point, we haven't seen that yet.
Now, Courtney, as you mentioned, we know Israeli ambassador to the United States, Danny Danon. He appeared on CBS News earlier today, and he spoke about what it would take for Israel and the U.S. to finish the job. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Hammering, and taking out their capabilities. That's what we are doing every day with the strikes, making sure they don't have the capability of rebuilding the ballistic missiles, the nuclear capabilities, and hopefully, and I pray for that every day, a regime change. But that's for the people of Iran to decide.
All right, Courtney, I want to get your take on that. What he had to say there about the Iranian people making sure that that regime change does in fact happen in their country. Do you think that's possible?
Big million-dollar question, billion-dollar question. At this point, one thing he did say that's not in that soundbite was he talked about Israeli intelligence on the ground. And that's, again, unseen to us, not visible, but incredibly critical. And what I've been trying to follow is how many top leaders and who and where Israel has taken out. And so we saw the first strike in taking out Khamenei, but then Ali Larijani, the chief national security, being taken out. Powerful family, well-respected and powerful within both the clerical society and the political society. And then there's this deep bench of military commanders, including top IRGC, Iranian Revolutionary Guard. A lot were taken out in June. a lot have been taken out now. And so it's like, how much can Israel soften up the regime? And what I worry about, really, truly, in the end of this, is rule of law. What will happen if the Basij and the IRGC do fall and people take to the streets, but then there are people that are still armed and still fighting for this extremist ideology and don't want to give up, even if they're in the minority,
Yes.
pardon me.
Still a lot of question marks when it comes to this war and what comes next. Courtney Kealy, thank you so much.